I thought we'd start off the podcast by quickly reviewing the Los Angeles based NFL teams and their records. Colton, could you go over that for us real quick? No? I'll do that. I'll do it for the camera. The Rams shocked the Seahawks. They're 1-0. I don't think anyone saw that coming. And the Chargers played, but I don't know what happened. So Colton's not willing to say what happened. I didn't see it. I don't
It's
watch.
just it's after being a Chargers fan for over 20 years. It's just that the NFL script writers get lazy and they just for Chargers games they just replay it every time. The Chargers will be able to beat any team or lose to any team by one score with less than 2 minutes in the game. Just like that every time. Doesn't matter how many points they score. Doesn't matter where it's a home or away game. I'm just used to it by now. So
I
Shout
will.
out Chris. Shout out Chris Fanarakis. Good game, man. You confident in your Seahawks this year? Yeesh.
I will say when Miami missed that extra point, I thought maybe Herbert was going to do it for you, Colton. But
the
what was
offensive
it?
line had
Two
played great
two
up until
sacks
that
and
point.
an intentional grounding.
The offensive line had played great up until that point, but that's just what happens because the offense scored 34 points.
But
I
then
mean,
they started running the wrong way during that 2-minute drive. You can't do that.
oh well, I know, but 34 points should be enough to win in an NFL game when your defense gives up however much in the air. Anyways, we're
Come
talking
on,
about the wrong
Bosa.
sport. We're
Get
talking
some
about the wrong sport.
Get some pressure on him, Bosa. How'd your fantasy team do?
I lost by 2 points. I had the
Sorry,
Dallas defense.
I'll quit bringing up football because it's obviously a sore subject for you this week. We'll talk about another sore subject coming up, though. I know you guys have lots to say about the Blazers roster, including some news that broke today about Dame Dollar, the hometown or Portland legend. Everyone loves him, right? What did you see? What did you see with the roster today, though? A few new developments.
Yeah, so there's been some interesting news. Last couple days, we've been talking this whole offseason about how we can't talk about the roster because it's not complete. It's been hard to do a depth chart video because we don't know what the roster is going to look like. So Woj has given us a couple small updates the last couple days as we get closer to training camp. Starting off with over the past weekend, Kevin Knox has signed a 1-year deal to return. So he's going to be back playing that wing spot, which, he's there. He's a body to fill in. He had some promise in the games he played last season when we were tanking. I don't think he's going to make or break any kind of winning or losing. Like he might magnify some losses or he might be on the floor for some wins, but he's not going to be a game-changing player. We had an Exhibit 10 deal signed by a center, George Condit, which he played for Iowa State. And
what is Exhibit 10? I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, so it's a G League contract that I think they can go both ways. So
it's like the two-way.
Yeah, so where it's kind of like it can be converted into a full contract if they play well enough. And then finally, another move was made where
who did you say? Hold up, what did you say? Who was signed to that deal?
So his name is, I just scrolled down.
George Condit.
Is George Condit. He played for Puerto Rico in the World Cup, and he was pretty good out there. And then finally,
what position? What position is he?
He's a center.
Oh, okay.
And then we had one more move where we signed Dwap Reith, which he played on the summer league team, and he was playing pretty well at times. He might be a good role guy next to Scoot as far as developmental big. He's not going to be setting the world on fire, but that's 3 kind of front court moves that don't make or break anything as far as if a trade comes down the line, but at least it fills in the roster a little bit.
So yeah, now they have to back up Nurkic, if Nurkic is even on the team, they have Baji, Moses Brown, this guy Condit, and
And
Reed. So they actually have like 4 options. That's more options, even if none of them are, starter level players at this point. It's still more depth at the center position than I can remember the Blazers having in many years.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's not anything that's probably going to set the league on fire or really have a huge impact on our wins total. But as I think we all know, and as we've talked about on this podcast, wins aren't necessarily the name of the game this year anyway. So putting together a competent team or just a well-structured team and, hopefully signing good deals that allow us to leverage either just trades or sign other players in the future. That's what we need to be doing right now. That's what Joe needs to be doing right now. So it's good to see him actually building a team that we can field for the coming year, because it was starting to look like we might not have, more than 5 or 6 players to put out there.
If one of them hits too, that would be awesome. You never know. Maybe one of them, I mean, if you sign 4 young, kind of undeveloped, undiscovered talents, there's at least a non-zero sum probability that one of them might end up being a piece that can be used in the future or in a trade deal or something. So that's pretty exciting. What do you guys think about bringing back Kevin Knox? Colton, you already kind of said he's probably not really going to sway the win-loss record too much, but he put up some good stats last year. From what I remember, he had games where he got hot, and he can score a lot of points quickly, pretty good shooter. Is he going to be a guy, do you think, that could eventually either develop into something or be traded for something?
I'm not going to, you never say never. I'm not saying he isn't going to be able to develop at all. And I think that this place will certainly give him the most opportunity. He's going to go into a training camp where he actually has opportunity, because before he hasn't had any opportunity where he's been. So I think that we'll get to see him, if he has a bad game, he's going to have a chance to play through it. If he has a good game, he's going to have a chance to play through it. Chauncey, I think, from what I've seen of Chauncey, I think he's done a pretty solid job with the young guys as far as giving them an opportunity, which we haven't seen as much in the past with Terry Stotts other than Dame. So I think, Chauncey's a pretty good coach to have in this kind of an era where maybe he wasn't the most successful with that team around him, but maybe with these young guys, he might bring some a spark into Knox. And I'm not really too sure about the details of the contracts. I don't know if the salary can be. He could be a throw-in if he does pop off, but if he does pop off, the Blazers probably won't want to trade him because he's going to be a young, cheap wing.
Yeah, my take on it is just that young, cheap wings are something that we have had a serious lack of for the last, I don't know, my entire life. And so the fact that we went out and found some guys, and we're bringing back guys that we know can at least play NBA level basketball for stretches, it's hard to second guess it too much. It does depend a little bit on what the deal looks like. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out. But I mean, it's not going to be anything that's going to put us in a bad position financially, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to see what he does. He's been in the league since 2018. Each year he's gotten a little bit better than the year before statistically. I don't see him being necessarily like the wing of the team that ends up making a run, but we got to give Scoot and Shaden someone to play with, and hopefully they're good players that they can play with, because that's where they'll instill good habits. They'll learn how to play with talented basketball players, and maybe these guys can serve as a backup role when we make the big blockbuster trade for championship pieces.
He does have legitimate size too. 6'7", 6'11" wingspan, only 24 years old. It's funny, it kind of reminds me of a number of years ago, different style of player, but similar in that he is a lottery pick that didn't really work out. And the Blazers taking a chance on a Mo Harkless. Also, you could throw Al Farouq Amino in there too. Oh, someone to take a chance on. Obviously, he had upside at a certain point in his career because he was taken 9th overall just 5 years ago. But yeah, it hasn't really panned out yet. But like I said, last year he showed flashes of real talent, especially offensive. Shot the ball pretty well from what I remember. Only shot 31% statistically, but streaky shooter, can get hot. And that might be the kind of player, like you mentioned, Riley, that Scoot and Shaden need to play alongside, give them a little bit of spacing and just have a shooter out there with some length and some size around him.
I definitely don't think he's the end game at the spot. How about that? He could surprise us, but I think that the goal is to get, a wing or a center that really pops. Kind of, if it's one of these guys we've talked about, that's great. I don't think it's likely. I think these guys are here to kind of get us through one more season of development, and then you kind of have the young core established at different positions. So, but we'll see. Maybe he becomes part of the young core. That would be fantastic, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Yeah, he'll probably play behind at least Thibault, probably Nasir Little too. Who knows how Chris Murray will show out too. So he could end up being like a 4th string guy, but also might be nice to have some competition at that spot and kind of sharpen the edges of everyone by forging the blade with a little bit of competition.
I'm just glad to see a roster. We've got 14 players signed now instead of the 9 or 8, with 1 or 2 of them on their way out. So yeah, no, it's nice to see okay, it's a young team. It's a team that's going to be hopefully on the upswing over the next few years, but at least we're an NBA team again with guys to talk about.
And we won't know the final roster until the Dame trade, which is still hovering over us, is completed. Did you guys see the interesting news that Shams put out today?
You sent it to us.
I know. Yeah, so long story short, Shams says that he thinks, just no, it's air quotes because I know he knows directly from Dame's agent that Dame says he won't report to any camp outside of Miami, outside of any training camp. I think he'd report to Portland's camp too if he's still here. But just
so
another attempt at gearing only to Miami. Another attempt at lowering the trade value to any other team and lowering the trade value to Miami as well. Just trying his hardest to say, nope, only trade me to Miami. Before you guys dive in on what you think of this, there is one interesting little tidbit. So Jason Owens, he's a writer for Yahoo Sports, put out a little blurb article very, very recently about this. And he talks about how the NBA had issued that warning in July to Dame. He does say that Trailblazers general manager Joe Cronin is reportedly open to all suitors, while any discussions with the Heat thus far have not produced a deal. But then he says other teams are obviously interested in the sharpshooting all-star, despite the reported warnings. But it's unclear if any have engaged in significant discussions with the Trailblazers. So he says that other teams are interested, but it's just a matter of, do they take the plunge on Dame, even though he made this stink about only going to Miami? So what do you guys think of that?
Well, and not only has he made the stink about only going to Miami, he continues to do it even after the NBA tells him he's not allowed to. Here's the thing, right? They brought in not only Dame, but also his agent and told them that this behavior is completely unacceptable in the NBA. And here we are with Shams as the mouthpiece saying, the same exact thing. I mean, where are we supposed to have gotten that information from, if not from Dame's agent?
Exactly.
I will say I looked up the article too, and like you said, he did say Miami or Portland, which is just the insane rumor that won't die, of Dame somehow changing his mind and coming back to Portland. And having a
No.
big happy reunion where he decides he's going to be fine just tutoring, Shaden and Scoot, and we're going to
No,
have
he
this
wants
big
the money.
happy, this big
Yeah, it's
happy
the money.
multi-generational family. I just, I'm on the Blazer fan pages and it just won't die. Like that's what so many people are just hoping for. It's not going to happen. He's made too big of a deal out of this. He said he's out. When guys say they're out, they're never back in. Like even if the trade takes a while, we've seen a couple examples where someone's asked out and then it's taken a little bit, but it's never the same, and it's always only a matter of time. If Dame does come to Portland and report to training camp, it's only going to serve as a distraction. And so, yeah, I hope it does. I hope he doesn't, but yeah, he probably will because money, money, money.
Yeah. Yeah, he's said he'll report to those two teams' training camps because if he refuses to show up to training camp for the Blazers, he doesn't get paid. That's the only reason. It's not for any possible reunion. That ship has sailed, obviously.
I mean, I don't know if he's required. I guess maybe he is. I need to look at that. But
Isn't that what happened with Ben Simmons last year or the year before that? I'm pretty sure that he refused to show up to training camp because he wanted to be traded from the 76ers, and they were able to fine him basically his paycheck every pay period until they did trade him.
Yeah, but who's to say you go to training camp on the first day and tweak your calf? I'm not saying I don't even think Dame's gonna do that. I was on record when we had this pod earlier in the summer saying I think Dame will actually play. He will play. Not only will he go to training camp, if he's still on the roster, he will play because he's gonna be able to put up not money.
But what will happen is the team will send him home, and then he'll be able to say that he reported, but they sent him home, so he'll still be able to get paid without coming to training camp. I think that's
the game of chicken, though. Can you why don't we just say, okay, why don't you just play then? I mean, if he gets hurt, that would suck. But
that's gonna mess with I don't think that's worth it, honestly. I think you send him home.
I agree.
I want to, but you can't. If he wants to play, you're not going to send him home. If he says no, I want to play, then what are you gonna have happen? If Dame says I want to play and you say no, we're not letting you play, then it's like a hostage situation, and then everyone starts bearing down saying let him play. The fans would start saying that. You'd have a lot of uproar. Some fans aren't as connected into all this drama as the always online people.
You make a good point.
So you say, where's Dame? He's on the roster, but he's not playing, and then he just tweeted that he wants to play. Ooh.
I think that's why at the end of the day, they're going to trade him for whatever crap package Miami can put together. I think, this is a precedent-setting situation with what the league coming down on him, but the damage was already done before the league came down on him. He's clearly still pushing the boundaries and testing the waters and seeing what he can get away with and what he can't. And it seems at this point like there's really not going to be any repercussions for it. So I think I respect Cronin for trying to play this game and trying to get more out of it, but I don't think it's I just don't really see it happening. I think that they're probably going to end up getting the Tyler Hero package for him.
So, just taking everybody back into Riley's marketing corner for a minute, because I'm always thinking about this poor Portland Trailblazers marketing department that's trying to navigate this season. And yeah, I mean, the fact is that if Dame is saying, if he's comes to training camp and is on the roster and says, I want to play, and you have Scoot, I mean, the potential to see Dame and Scoot play together would sell a lot more tickets than I think we're going to sell without Dame, in the first year of the post-Dame era. So yeah, I think that the team would have a lot of pressure to do it, even though it would not be the best for team building and team structure, because there's business considerations here too. And like Colton said, not everybody's a mega fan. A lot of people just want to go watch the best players that someone can throw on the floor, and winning is like probably the 6th or 7th most important thing on their mind that night, somewhere after, how many hot dogs they get at the concession stand or how much their beer cost. So, there's a lot of people that you're selling these tickets to, and Dame and Scoot would put butts in seats for a while.
Yeah,
be
but
fair,
with that being said, I still think that the general manager is going to be playing the long game, going to be taking into consideration more what's good for the team and for the young players. And at some point, I think that they're going to come to the realization that they just have to move on for him and get rid of this toxic situation. Because I just to start the season in that sort of a predicament, it's just not good for anybody.
yeah. I mean, Portland fans are intelligent. They have good basketball IQ. Hopefully you can sell them on, hey, we're trying to get a good package. I think that the talk about how some people try to frame it as, well, will Scoot want to resign? It's like you just sit Scoot down and say, hey, we're trying to get the best package to build around you. So that's why we're taking a while to get the situation figured out. I don't think it should be something where we should be worried about how Scoot views this whole thing, like some people are saying.
Like because his contract is for at least what 3-4 years, right?
Yeah,
So
it's a rookie deal, 4 years, and then he's not going to go anywhere because he'd be a restricted free agent. That's how all the rookie deals
so at
work.
that point, I mean, praying to God, hopefully this will all be way behind us and out
It
of
will. It will be.
everyone's
But
mind
people
at
are
that point.
saying, "Oh, is that how you treat your franchise player?" And it's like, no, you need to get a good deal to build your team around your rebuild. You can't just get no value out of Damian Lillard just because he says I'm only going here. That just can't happen. That just can't. It can't happen.
As much as the NBA changes too, in 4 years, Jody Allen will probably sell the team. Cronin will be working for the Dallas Mavericks or something, and Chauncey Billups will probably be assistant coaching the Lakers. It'll be a completely different situation, most likely. Like, not very few of the people that are making these decisions will actually be around at that point in time. I mean, hopefully some of them will. Hopefully there'll be some infrastructure, but knowing the NBA, there's a good chance not.
But you know who will still be here? Scoot.
Yeah.
And my money's on Shaden too. But so those are the guys you got to sell around. This is why it's taking so long to trade Dame. The future is all about you guys. We need to get as much as we can. If nothing materializes, we'll do what we can. But we need to try and build around you guys. So that's what I think. I don't think people should be worried about how Scoot's viewing this, as long as they're telling him this is why this is happening.
Yeah, I have to imagine that he seems pretty sharp from what I've seen. I mean, he understands that it's a not only does he understand it's a business, he seems to understand the business to some extent. So yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to be pretty problematic to come into a team in your rookie year and start getting pissed off that they're not trading their superstar fast enough to suit your needs. I mean,
more like trading him where he wants.
Yeah.
More like treating him right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like you said, he's a smart guy. So I don't think it should be an issue. And just tell him you're building around him.
Yeah. Yeah, like Riley said, if he brings a level of drama this early, it's probably not a good sign, no matter what the team does.
I don't see it happening anyways.
Yeah.
That's just something I've seen Miami fans or media throw out there. Oh, well, Scoot in 4 years is going to be mad that you did this to Dame. No, he's going to be like, thank you for getting me this player that was good because you waited and you're trying to build around me.
And throwing your whole organization behind me and to try to help me be the most successful player I can be.
Dude, Miami fans are just ready to throw anything at the wall just to try to get something to stick, to get them their little Dame package so that he can come to not South Beach, 5 miles away from South Beach.
That's another reason I just think that they're going to have to bite the bullet and just trade Dame for whatever they can get for him, because I want to see Scoot start. I want to see what he does right off the bat. I don't want to see Damian start or play or have a position battle with Scoot or anything like that. At this point, I'm over it. I've been over it for a while now. It's time to move on. it's time to throw our weight behind those young players and see what they can do. I'm more excited for this upcoming season than I have been in a long time, the last few seasons, because it's so unknown. It's so unpredictable and unknown what those young guys can do. I'm not expecting them to, make a title run or anything this year, but maybe they'll show some glimpses of having that potential in the near future. And we just didn't have that potential with Damian Lillard and the team constructed as it is around him. It was, play in banner was the ceiling for this team, and it has been since LaMarcus Aldridge left, I guess, probably. Well, few years, there was a few lucky years. Yeah, where some teams got hurt and stuff. But.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say something funny. So this is not, any Miami fan watching this. I'm not trying to pile on Miami fans.
We love you. We love you guys. Thanks for watching.
But I have seen some.
Thanks for being fanboys.
I've seen some hilarious stuff from Miami fans, and whether that's the loudest minority or what, the loud minority, right? Rather than the silent majority. But sometimes I see posts about what do we think the roster is going to look like if we keep Hero and get Dame? They're like, we should lower the offer every second that they don't trade him. It's like, you think you're going to keep Tyler Hero too now?
And
what is going on?
And aren't they going to trade Bam Adebayo for Joel Embiid too?
No, they might as well just trade Orlando Robinson for Joel Embiid.
Yeah,
Bam, and have Bam come off the bench.
Keep lowering the trade value on that one too for every week that Embiid gets more and more disgruntled.
Anyways, it's just funny.
We've talked about this.
We love you, Miami fans.
Every fan base. Every fan base overvalues their assets and undervalues other teams' assets, and also overestimates how desperate other teams are. We do it too, but yeah, no, you're probably not going to get Embiid and Giannis and Dame and keep Hero and Jimmy and Bam out of the whole thing. Although I know you'd love to.
Next week, we'll be talking about how we're going to be trading Kevin Knox for Giannis. So that's going to be an exciting turn of events for the Blazers. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We will continue to cover this long, drawn-out saga of a story until some actual news comes of it. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I want it to be done at least in time for the start of the season, and I think it will be. But I guess we shall see. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.